Hello and welcome back to the Be a Better You podcast. I am your host, Allison K. Dagny, and today we are going to be talking about the 10 signs that your nervous system still thinks you're in that relationship. Now, this is really important to know because it connects the dots between emotional abuse and the trauma responses that are still showing up even after the relationship ends. I've experienced this as well as many of my clients. And so what I'm going to do today is help you understand why you're still stuck in those nervous system responses like fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, and then help you find a way forward through shifting your beliefs and understanding your personal nervous system trauma responses. So if you left the relationship, but you still flinch, or you still get that stomach drop when you get a text message or your phone dings, if you find yourself still apologizing for things that aren't your fault, if you still feel like you have to explain everything and explain yourself to everyone, even when no one even asks for it, right? Does this sound familiar? This is not you being dramatic, okay? This is your nervous system still thinking that you're in that relationship, that you're in that same place that you used to be, even though you're not. So I'm going to walk you through these 10 signs that your body just hasn't caught up to your healing yet and how to start making that shift. So the first thing I want to address here is the over-explaining. Even small decisions, right? So what this often is you're not just chatty, you're not just talkative. You're trying to avoid being misunderstood or avoid judgment or avoid blame or criticism because that's what you had to do to survive. So even if no one is blaming you, even if no one is judging you, you might still find yourself explaining why you did what you did. You might find yourself telling people more details than they ever asked for. And this is part of your nervous system trying to help you feel safe. Now, early into my healing journey, before I knew anything about subconscious healing, before I knew anything about the subconscious mind, I remember this one time I was texting a friend to cancel dinner plans that we had made. And instead of just saying, hey, I need to reschedule, I'm not feeling up to it tonight, or hey, I need to reschedule, I'm just going to stay in, whatever it was, I sent a full-blown essay. I was explaining, I didn't sleep well the night before, and I had a headache, and how I had stuff I had to do with the kids, and I was behind on laundry, and even was like, and I feel so bad, and I'm sorry, and I promise to make it up to her. I've got 3 different apologies in one message, offering to pay for her dinner, just because I was feeling bad. And of course, my friend, she's a wonderful person, and she replied with, don't worry about it. I hope you get some rest. Super wonderful response. And I just sat there thinking, why did I feel like I needed to explain myself so much and in such great detail? And that's when I realized, I wasn't just canceling plans. I was trying to protect myself from this imaginary version of her that might have thought that I was being selfish or flaky or a bad friend. But that version only existed in my mind. And that version was created by years of having to justify every single thing that I did to avoid being guilted, to avoid criticism, or any sort of emotional punishment or backlash. So it was never about her. It was about the part of me that still thought that I needed permission to take care of myself, or that I had to explain myself to someone else. And this also happened in reverse, when I had been working on this. I remember someone who I knew that was a friend, but not a close friend, more like an acquaintance, had texted me and asked me if I wanted to go to, and I don't remember if it was a jewelry party or something like that. Now remember, I don't know this person that well, but was connected on like social media. And I remember she sent me this text message and said, "Hey, I would love to invite you. I hope you can make it. It'll be a lot of fun." And just every cell in my body was like, not interested. And instead, like I started to write out, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm busy, blah, blah, blah," and give all the excuses and the reasons. And I literally just said, "No, thanks." And that's it. And that was my message. And it was hard. I'm not saying it wasn't hard, because every other part of my body wanted to explain, wanted to give her a reason or an explanation or an excuse as to why. But because I had been working on this, I realized like I don't owe people explanations. And I'm not in the same places that I used to be. I'm not under that same level of control, manipulation, and abuse. So if you find yourself over explaining, be aware of it, right? First and foremost, just pay attention. Like if you see yourself doing it in text messages, in person, whatever, like just catch yourself. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up over it, right? You can't be judging yourself for things that, are coming up because of your nervous system. Like it still thinks you're in that relationship or you're under that same level of control or guilt or whatever, right? So it still is lingering because there's been something that hasn't shifted inside of you. And if you want that to shift and you don't want to have the behavior of over-explaining like I did at that first text, and you want to shift it to that second text to be able to not feel bad by just saying no thanks, right? Like what's wrong with just saying no thanks? And that was something that I really had to work through. So if this is something that you're resonating with and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I could do this all the time," please know it is something that you can change. It is absolutely something that you can change. And it's not just like forcing yourself to say no thanks. It's actually uncovering what you believe about not explaining yourself. So if I don't explain myself, they're going to think this. If I don't give them a reason, they're going to think that. If I do it this way, they won't want to be my friend anymore. Whatever those things might be, that's what I help people with. Figure out what it is on a much deeper level that's creating the feelings that are then causing you to over-explain. Okay? Number 2 is feeling your heart race when you get a text or feeling a stomach drop or a physical response. This happened to me all the time right after I escaped my abusive relationship. And this might happen to you if it's coming from the person who abused you. Like for me, I still had to communicate with my ex, right? If you don't have to, you might not feel that. But you might feel it if it just still lives in your body as that like nervous system response anytime you get a text. I had a client once who didn't want to open her emails. Like she literally had such anxiety about opening emails because she had a lot of trauma related to her job, where the emails would come through and they would be extremely triggering. And so her nervous system like resisted because she didn't want to open those emails. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like a text or a phone call. It can be something like an email from somebody. And in her case, it was because she had been in a nervous system response of, I'm going to call it flight, even though she's not running away, but she's avoiding opening those emails. So that's a flight response. So now anytime emails come through, it's like, I don't want to look at that. I don't want to look at the emails. I don't want to even see it, right? Because it is, to her, a potential danger, just opening that email. So a ding on your phone, a ringing tone coming from your phone, an email, whatever, these things shouldn't feel dangerous. But when your nervous system was trained to expect an attack or expect something bad to happen in like relation to that, it sees everything as a potential threat. I mean, you've heard of Pavlov's response before, where, every time that the owner would ding the bell, Pavlov, and feed the dog, then the dog would salivate, right? Over time, this became a thing where the dog would salivate just by hearing the bell ring. It didn't have to even be around the food. And so this is similar to how your body responds, except for it's responding to something that is causing a fear response, some sort of negative feeling inside of your body. So if this is something that you experience where you get that, I used to get the stomach drop feeling. Every time a text would come through, my stomach would feel like there was like a rock sink into the pit of my stomach. And I did not want to open my text messages. What's it going to be now, right? What kind of court things am I going to be dragged into next? Like whatever that is. So if you're experiencing this, your nervous system still thinks, oh, I'm still with that person, because when my ex used to message me, I used to have to respond immediately, or I would get in trouble, quote unquote trouble. If I didn't answer the phone on like the first couple of rings, I would get in trouble. I would get lectured. I would get criticized. So that was what was staying with me. So even after I wasn't in the relationship with him anymore, I was feeling that. So if this is something you've experienced too, in any sort of physical way, heart racing, heart, like sweaty palms, stomach, anxiety, like gut punches, whatever that is, then that's a good sign that your nervous system still thinks you're in that relationship. And we don't want it to think that, because you're not. I mean, there are people who listen to this podcast who I know probably are still in relationships, and I just want to shout out to those people. Like, if you're hearing this stuff, I don't want you to get freaked out that like this is going to happen to you. Everyone is different, but if you've experienced trauma, then your body is going to adjust to that trauma and try to help you feel safe. Okay, the third thing is that you maybe feel responsible for how everybody else around you feels. So if you're somebody who is always monitoring other people's emotions, the temperature of the room, because you learned that maybe sometime in childhood or during your abuse or whatever, that if somebody else was upset, it was your responsibility to fix it, or you needed to smooth things over, or maybe you even were told it was your fault. If you have this sense of duty to manage other people's emotions, to make sure that other people aren't mad, or that other people aren't upset, or that if there's a silent treatment, that you've got to somehow do something to undo it, right? This is a really good sign. Like, if you're not in the relationship anymore and this happens to you still, because you're carrying that from the past. And it's something that's happening inside of your body to help you feel safe, to keep you protected. Because if other people's emotions are off, you're going to want to try to make that better. You're going to want to try to get everybody back to neutral. You're going to want to try to say, what's wrong? Are you okay? And can I do anything? And, that puts you in a heightened state of anxiety, trying to manage everyone else's feelings. And that's not your job. Okay? But this is a real thing. And this is something a lot of people experience after they've been through emotional abuse. They get out of the relationship, but they're still like, oh my gosh, my friend didn't text me back. I wonder if I did something wrong. Maybe other people you're around seem to be irritable or in a bad mood, and somehow you feel like that you have to make it all better. This is not your role. It is not your responsibility to manage other people's emotions. And I need to say this because some people don't know that. Some people are like, oh, it's not my responsibility. It is not your responsibility. Okay? Your emotions are your responsibility. And I know that if you're living in a house, and let's say you have a roommate, or you have a new partner, or your children, or whatever, and you're no longer with the person who abused you, but somehow you sense things are off. Somehow your radar is up, and you know that people are in a bad mood, and you're just trying to make everything okay. This is a sign that you're still in that old relationship. You're carrying those old trauma responses with you to try to smooth things over, to try to make things okay. And you might feel a lot of anxiety in that, and that's why you're trying to fix it, because you don't like the way that it feels. If people are giving silent treatments, if people are sulking, if they're guilt tripping, if they're ignoring, like, you got to get it back to neutral, because that's what you always had to do. But you don't have to do that now. The tough part about this is helping your brain see that you are not responsible for other people's emotions, because you can tell yourself this till you're blue in the face. But that's not going to change anything, and it's not going to change how you feel, and it's not going to change your behavior. The only thing that's going to change it is if you reach the subconscious mind and uncover what it is that you believe, and then start to change that. You're going to have to change the neural programming, basically. And when you do that, you can just be okay and allow people to have their feelings and allow their, emotions to surface and allow there to be awkward silences or whatever. And you can still be okay. And that's hard for a lot of people to hear because that's never how you felt before. Like, you don't know what that feels like. Wait a second. What? That's possible? Yes, 100%. All right, number 4 is this constant apologizing, even when it makes 0 sense. You might apologize just to apologize, right? You are trained to believe that taking the blame was the safer option than standing up for yourself or taking a stand or, standing your ground in any way. So this can even look something as simple as someone else dropping a plate and you saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Literally, I have done this before, where someone else did something that had absolutely nothing to do with me and I apologized for it. Like, and that's an extreme, but it happens. When you are so used to immediately apologizing no matter what, you will apologize for everything, even other people's mistakes. And the reason that this happens to people who've been abused or who have experienced this kind of trauma is that it often diffused situations faster. So if you don't apologize, you might experience more abuse. You might experience more criticism. You might experience lectures. You might experience worse. Okay, so if you are apologizing all the time, no matter what, you're the first to apologize, you're the first to jump up and say, "I'm sorry," even maybe sometimes it's not even your fault. There's a reason for it. Don't be embarrassed or don't feel shame about it, because your body is reacting quickly because it helped you feel safe. So if this is something that you're doing, then just realize this also can be changed, right? And again, you're not going to change your behaviors overnight. You have to change the neural pathways that are creating the feelings. And those are coming from subconscious beliefs, things that you believe on a deep level. Like, if I don't apologize, this is going to happen. I should be the one to apologize first, right? There's many, many things that could come up. I'm not safe unless I apologize. So if this is something that you struggle with and you want to change that, then that's possible for you. But again, like I said, it's not going to happen overnight. You have to change the multitude of neural pathways in your brain. Okay, number 5. So we're about halfway through here. You freeze up in conversations, or you struggle to articulate yourself or your thoughts. This is a trauma response. So if you learned that being quiet was safer than being wrong, you'll freeze up. Or you might not be able to speak the words that you really want to say. Because over time, what happened was maybe you did speak up. Maybe you did say what you wanted or what you needed. And then what happened was something bad, like the person escalated. The other person got really angry. The other person became more abusive. The other person shamed you, criticized you, verbally abused you, whatever that was, right? Because you were articulating yourself, because you were using your voice, because you were expressing your opinion, your needs, your wants. So what happens then? You learn that I should just be quiet. I should not speak at all. I should not say what I need. I should make myself smaller. I should make myself shrink. You can go back and listen to last week's episode about that. But if you freeze up, literally can't think, like if you can't even think because you're like you're deer in headlights, this is because of your nervous system thinking you're still in that same relationship, that you're still with that same person. Okay? And this is very hard to deal with because people who are not abusive, who you may be encountering now, are going to be like, why can't you just express yourself? Why can't you just tell me what you want? Why can't you just say what you need? Right? And these people may not be out to hurt you. They may just want to be your friend or may want to be in a relationship with you. But by you freezing up, you can't have deep conversations. You can't have closeness with those people. And that doesn't bring people together. It pushes people apart. So if you're like, oh, yeah, I find myself doing that, and you want to change that behavior because you're not living in the past anymore, you're not living with that abuser anymore, and you want to be able to express yourself and your needs and your wants and your desires, you can change that too. And I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face. You got to get to the root. You got to get to the subconscious mind. But I can help with that. All right. Number 6 is you brace yourself for criticism when things go quiet. And what I mean by quiet, I'm talking about silent treatments. And you're probably familiar with this if you've been emotionally abused. So first I want to say, silence in healthy relationships does not mean danger, okay? But when it was used as a punishment, your body still reacts like that, okay? So you're going to be in a heightened state if there's silence. And this kind of silence can literally look like someone not responding to an email or a text message or a phone call from you. And you are feeling that like fear and that anxiety, like, oh my gosh, am I getting the silent treatment right now? It can also look like someone saying, I just need some space. It can look like someone saying in a conversation, I don't want to talk about this right now. Okay? But if you've had this before, your alarms are going off because you're like, this is familiar, like this is a silent treatment. And you might not be saying that directly in your mind, but like it feels familiar and you know what that's like. But silent treatments in emotional abuse are a way to punish and control the other person. But if someone just doesn't respond to you for a couple of days, it could be just because they're busy. Or it could be because they saw your text message and were in the middle of something and forgot. It could be that they need to walk away from the conversation and get some space because they don't want to have an emotional outburst and they want to compose themselves. It may not mean that danger is lurking, right? But that's how our mind and bodies see and feel it. So if you find yourself like anytime there's a silence or there's somebody requests some space or they don't respond to you right away and you start feeling that anxiousness, I'm here to tell you it's because of your nervous system feeling caught up in the past. But as I said before, we have to look at these other possibilities like, well, is it possible that they just didn't respond right away because of something else? Because often what our brains do as human beings is we go to the worst case scenario first. Why aren't we going to the best case scenario first? The worst case scenario is the thing that hurts us. And that's just the sort of go-to that happens, right? Oh, my friend didn't respond to my text and it's been 24 hours. She must not want to be my friend anymore. Maybe she hates me. Maybe she's mad at me. Maybe she didn't like the way I worded it, right? Why is it that we go to that all the time first? Right? Maybe it's not that. Maybe it's something totally different. Like I said, maybe she got your message and she wants some time to think about how she wants to respond. She got your message and totally didn't even see it. I know that's happened to me before. People have texted me and I didn't even see the text. I guess I opened it, didn't see it. And then a couple of days later, went to text that person and then saw that there was a missed message. So let's try to get out of the habit of catastrophizing and going for the horrible scenarios first. Because this is the pattern you've experienced from being in an emotionally abusive relationship. That's what your body and mind want to go to first. But you are in control and you have to catch it. All right? So silence or non-responsiveness doesn't always mean something bad, doesn't mean danger. Okay? And that's where we have to break the connection between what you once experienced and what you're experiencing now. And that starts again in the subconscious. All right, number 7 is that you feel exhausted around people, even if those people are safe. So you may be feeling emotionally drained and exhausted even around safe people. Because here's what's happening is your body is still scanning for danger. Like hypervigilance, it's on like overdrive, even when it doesn't need to be. So if you've ever been out with a group of friends and like you get home and you're like, oh, I'm just like crash, I'm so exhausted, because you can't relax. You're still looking for danger. You're still inspecting their facial expressions for disapproval or listening to their voice inflections to see if they're mad at you or, I mean, this can look like so many different things. But again, you're not with that same person who treated you that way. You're not with those people who abused you anymore. So it's normal to scan for danger, right? I would say that's probably a really important thing. But if you're doing it all the time and you're feeling exhausted a lot, even when you're around people who are your friends and like safe people, that means you need to take a look at what you're believing on a subconscious level about safety and about your safety and about how you can protect yourself. Like, what do you believe about those things? Because if you hold beliefs such as, I can't protect myself, and there's danger around every corner, and most people are bad, if you have beliefs and things like that that are deeply ingrained in you, you're never going to stop that behavior. It's always going to be there, and you're always going to feel exhausted. So when clients come to me and we're in a one-on-one setting and we're talking, I ask my clients, what do you want to feel? What do you want the outcome to be? You can't change people. You can't change, like what's happening outside of you. But if you say, you know what, I don't want to feel emotionally exhausted anymore when I'm with my friends, I'd say, okay, well, let's dig that out. Let's figure out why you do feel that way. And I'll ask you very pointed questions and we'll figure it out. We come to the root. We yank it out. We rewire your brain so that you can be with your people and just relax. You don't have to be scanning for danger all the time. You don't have to be in overdrive constantly. Your body and brain, your nervous system thinks you do, but you don't. Okay. Number 8 is that you struggle to make decisions, even the simple ones. Okay? Now, I want you to know this, that if you struggle to make decisions, it's not because you're bad at making decisions. It's because you were conditioned to doubt yourself and not trust your decisions. If you were in a relationship like I was with somebody who is emotionally abusive, no matter what choice you made, it was probably wrong. I can still remember that I used to get so frustrated with my ex-husband because he would refuse to make decisions on things, defer to me to make the decisions, and then complain about it later. And it got so unbelievably overwhelming that I just at some point stopped. I was like, I will not make a decision. I just refused. I remember, and I'll give you I don't remember the actual restaurants, but like let's just use 2 pretty common ones, Wendy's and McDonald's. And he would say, pick where you want to eat. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm not picky. And I'm not a picky eater. I'm like, you're more picky than me, so you decide. And he would say, no, I'm not going to decide. You decide where we're going to eat. And finally, over lots and lots of arguing, I would decide, okay, well, if it's between McDonald's and Wendy's, I'll go ahead and pick McDonald's. And his response was, you know I hate McDonald's. Why would you pick McDonald's? I don't want to eat at McDonald's. It's literally like banging your head against a wall. And it's so unbelievably frustrating. And this kind of thing happened to me all the time. And so eventually I just refused. And then being out of the relationship, this same thing would happen. I don't know. I'm not sure. Is this going to be the right decision? Is it going to be the wrong decision? Like when I'm dealing with people who aren't abusive, when I'm dealing with normal human beings that aren't going to treat me that way. But the reason I was doing it was because of the fear of what would happen if I make the wrong choice. But more is lost through indecision than wrong decision. My boyfriend told me that quote, and I love it, right? And he told me that because I was struggling to make decisions in our relationship even. And that was something that really, really sat well with me, that like, wow, if you don't make a choice at all, especially for things that are important, right? I'm not talking about like McDonald's or Wendy's right here in this situation, but like if you have a big decision to make and you just don't make a decision at all, more is lost there, right? Because at least if you make the wrong decision, you can learn from it. Okay. Again, these things can be shifted, they can be changed as long as you are willing and committed to being aware of it and then pulling out the subconscious beliefs. All right, number 9 is that you cannot take compliments. You might even flinch at compliments. This is a really interesting one. So if your body is not used to be seen in a good light, if you expect praise to be like a setup for more criticism later, like build you up to knock you down kind of thing, you might really resist being complimented. You might be like, what does that person see in me? You might be like, I'm not pretty. What are you talking about? Like, how could they say that? And then you might even wonder if they're lying to you. Like, are they telling me the truth? Do they really like my haircut? That can't be real. That can't be true, right? So if you're flinching at compliments or you're doubting them or you're believing people are lying to you, or maybe they're trying to like have an ulterior motive or an agenda, this is a good one, because you might have experienced something like this in your former relationship where you were emotionally abused, where the person maybe did build you up and then used that same stuff to tear you down, or they knew you liked things about yourself and then they used that to tear you down. It's all by design. It's all meant to make you doubt yourself and feel worthless. Because if that you feel worthless and you doubt yourself, you are going to rely on them. That gives them the power over you. Okay? So think about that. And that in specifically, we can also change, right? Like if you believe I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not beautiful, I'm too this, I'm too that, I'm too needy, I'm too sensitive, I'm not smart enough, right? If those are things and things like it, that you find come up inside of your mind sometimes, you are going to flinch at compliments. You're going to wonder why people are saying that. You're not going to believe them. You're maybe feel really uncomfortable by it. Okay? But once you start believing in yourself and once you start seeing the value in yourself, which is what I help people do, then you take those things and you're like, great, I already know. I already know I'm beautiful. I already know I'm good enough. I already know I'm smart enough. I already know I'm capable, right? You don't need that external validation from anybody else, which I also have another podcast episode on a few weeks back. All right, so number 10, that you maybe feel like you're too much or needy for having emotions or for having needs or for expressing yourself. Okay, because somewhere along the line, you were taught that having emotions or having needs was a problem. to someone else outside of you. And guess what? Your nervous system still believes that. So in the past, as a child, if you were told that, oh, you should stop crying, and oh, you're just too needy, and oh, you're just a big baby and you're too emotional and nobody wants to listen to that, right? Like if you were made to believe that your emotions were not important or that your needs were not valued, you will always feel like that if you don't shift that into every relationship that you ever get into. You will question yourself constantly. You will shrink yourself. You will make yourself smaller. You won't be your true self because you're afraid of what that means. You're afraid you will be told things about you that you don't want to hear and that aren't true, right? People have needs. People have emotions. That's normal. Some people have more needs. Some people have less. Some people have big emotions. Some people have small emotions, right? But if you were taught that your needs and your emotions are a problem, then any relationship that you get into beyond that, if you don't heal this part of yourself, is going to adapt. It's going to shift behavior to feel safe. So I'm not going to say what I really need. I'm not going to be emotional. I'm not going to be vulnerable, right? Because if I do that, I might be rejected. I might be abandoned. People won't like me. I won't have any friends. Nobody would want to date me, right? So you make yourself into something that you're not just so that you don't have to repeat feeling how you used to feel. And you are allowed to feel however you feel. Nobody can take that away from you, and nobody should take it away from you. And if they do, they're not your people. Okay? So I hope you hear me loud and clear. You're not too much. You're not too needy. Everybody has needs, right? Even me. Everybody has emotions, even me. And that's okay. You're going to be drawing in the right people by being you. Okay? It's just that your nervous system is just stuck in the past, and we need to shift that for you so that you can be yourself, so you can be who you are and not feel guilty about it or not feel like you have to make yourself small. Now, here's the truth. Now, we got through all 10 of these, but here's the truth that your nervous system has not caught up yet. Number one, you're not in danger anymore, okay? And I'm making an assumption here that you're listening to this, that you're not in the same relationship. Now, if you're still in the relationship and you're still experiencing abuse, obviously this isn't applying to you. Hopefully it will apply to you soon and that you'll get yourself out. But you're not in danger anymore. You're not with that person. That person's not, those people are not harming you. You don't have to explain everything to people. You don't owe people an explanation. You're allowed to feel and speak and rest and exist without defending yourself. And what's the most powerful thing about this? That these trauma responses, these things that we're talking about here, these 10 things are not permanent or fixed. They are simply patterns that your brain learned and adopted and turned to automatic. They're an autopilot. And anything that can be learned can also be unlearned when it comes to these kinds of things and behaviors. So you have the ability to rewire your mind. Everyone does. It's neuroplasticity. You can teach your body to feel safe again. You just need the right support. Now, I have lots of ways to support my clients. I have online trainings. I have one-on-one programs. I have Voxer support. I have a community. But the thing I want to tell you about today is something really new. It's called Ask Allison, and it's a high-touch personal space where you can message me anytime, day or night, and I am going to respond to you during my office hours of Tuesday and Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So if you leave me 20 minutes worth of voice note messages on Wednesday, then on Friday I'm going to respond to it. If you leave me 1 minute's worth of stuff on Tuesday I'll respond to it. Okay, so I have office hours on Tuesdays and Fridays. You can leave me messages anytime and I will support you. And then we can go back and forth on Tuesday and Friday also. So if you message me on Tuesday and we're going back and forth, I can just help you through it. So if you're spiraling about something that your ex said, or you're experiencing these things and these like 10 things that I expressed to you, right? You're stuck in self-doubt, or you're trying to explain yourself. I can help you through that. I can help you reframe your thoughts to get you some relief in the moment. And you're going to get actual support, not just like things to go do by yourself. I'm going to be helping you, like right there with you. I'm in your pocket. It's not therapy, it's coaching, but it's transformational coaching that is rooted in belief shifting and subconscious reprogramming. I'm not teaching you my 4-step process. That's reserved for my one-on-one clients. But there are ways that I can help you get shifts in the moment, and I can give you guidance. I can tell you, oh, hey, here's how I handled it. Or this is a great idea. Maybe we need to do a breathing exercise together. Maybe we need to work through your nervous system regulation, right? I can help you with that. I'm trauma informed. I understand the somatics of the body. So I only have a few spots left on this because I want it to be very, very, personal. And if I just have too many, I just won't be able to get back to everybody. And I want to make sure that I can fully show up for everybody who decides to join it. So if your nervous system still thinks you're in that relationship, but you're ready to rise out of it and you want some help to do that, then you can do this. Grab the link in the show notes and get your spot. We'll start chatting in Voxer and you can get the support that you need. You'll have it all month long. It's $200 for the month. But the good news is you can save $56 and join my community, my Radiate and Rise community. So you get access to the community and all the tools and all the community in there. And it's only $100 then. So you'll be paying a total of $144 for the same thing that somebody coming in without community would get. So I want you to remember that you don't need to keep managing your trauma responses like they're somehow your personality, okay? This is important. Like some people think, well, I'm just, this is just me and this is just who I am. It's not you. It's not. You might think it is you, but like you were born a blank slate. All the things that happened to you is what covered up that blank slate. We need to get rid of that, get it out of the way. Get that shit out of the way. Get you back to who you really are. Okay? To get you to feel safe again, to get you to trust yourself again, right? You get to come back to who you were before all of that other stuff crept in and told you who you are not. You are not broken. Your body just hasn't been able to show you what safety really feels like. And I can help you with that. Okay? So check the show notes and get the link. Join me in my Voxer Ask Allison support. If you want to join the community, you can save $56 a month. And so have access to me for a whole month. It's a membership model, but you can cancel anytime. So if you want a full month, you can cancel after that. If you feel like you're good, you don't need any more, great. So I hope to see you there. I hope to hear you there, chat with you there, and I'll talk to you guys next week.